What's up, guys? In this video, I'm gonna talk to you about how to organize your content for future use. Hey guys, I'm Mike Claudio, owner of WinRate Consulting and host of the Big Stud Podcast. If you have not checked out the podcast yet, please do. A lot of ton of great information, a lot of ton of content, which is what we're gonna talk about today. Ultimately, I put out a ton of different forms of content: blogs, podcasts, short format video, long format video, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. It's all over the place. There's a board behind you we'll get a picture of that shows like all the different places that we deliver content to. Ultimately, it can become overwhelming on how to utilize that more in the future. If you look at my journey in the content creation game, we have repurposed a very small amount of the overall content, but we've organized in a way to make it very easy to do so. From a baseline perspective, we use a blend of Dropbox and Google Drive to store different types of content. We primarily use Dropbox for photo and video content. How we organize it is by month, by year, and by content type. So there's a 2021 January folder with photos and videos. And then inside of that, we have some raw footage photos, like this YouTube video right now is raw footage. It's not edited, it's just recorded. That goes into the raw footage area. And then we'll have an edited content folder. And the edited content is where we go to utilize for distribution purposes. Because ultimately we want to plan ahead. We create content on a pretty consistent basis in order to release it over periods of time. As most of you have known, if you've been following me for any period of time, know that I'm huge on time blocks. I'm huge on time management. I'm huge on getting things done as efficiently as possible. So I typically, up until now, today is the first video for YouTube with Matt, the new video guy we just hired here at WinRate. And ultimately, we put things out consistently, but historically, I shot 1 4-hour block a month, which allowed me to shoot 20 to 30 videos, get 30 to 40 photos, and that was the content I needed from a long format in addition to the podcast recording I do throughout the month. We have folders in there for all these different types. So we have a podcast folder, we have a YouTube folder, we have a social media folder, we have a photo folder for memes or thumbnails. All these things get organized, and we're actually looking into now, I don't know for sure if it's gonna work, I'll let you know, if we can use specific tags for different types of content that we wanna utilize intentionally across different platforms. If you're going to try to organize your content, it's very, very important that you have a strategy for what you're actually looking to deliver to your audience. So right now, as you maybe have seen, WinRate Consulting's Instagram account is now becoming more about the team, the other coaches, the other clients, the other employees. We're making it more about the organization as a whole, because really up until last year, it was just me. Now we have 17 employees, 9 coaches, and a whole bunch of amazing people on our staff. So we broke out Instagram specifically into the real Mike Claudio. And I say that to say the real Mike Claudio's focus is gonna be on husband, father, leadership, and athlete type content, showing the more behind the scenes version of me, showing the more authentic, really in my ecosystem, not just educational content. WinRate, the content that we're storing and we're creating, we're putting for that, we're gonna be tagging it along the lines of WinRate stuff, which is more focused on simplifying and systemizing the growth of companies by having impact in every conversation we have. So we know what we're looking for. Even the podcast, we have 3 episodes a week that we release. We have a Mike's Monday Motivation, an interview, and an Ask Mike Anything. So we know what we need to plan for, which allows us to organize it, repurpose it, put it to good use, and ultimately create it consistently. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see happen all the time is people start an aggressive content strategy and then can't keep up with it, can't follow through, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, season 2 coming soon. Bullshit. You just gave up on what you were doing. You just stopped creating it consistently, and ultimately you couldn't keep up with the demand that you created for yourself. So if you're starting out new and you're trying to figure out how to start creating, start organizing, start with creating a cadence you can keep up with. Maybe that's 1 video a day, maybe it's 1 video a week. Doesn't matter, but organize it in subfolders. I like doing by year, by month, by content type, raw and edited. That way your team in the future, they can go back and start repurposing that stuff more effectively. And like I said earlier, we're gonna start trying to figure out a way to use tags to make our back content more searchable for specific distribution types. Ultimately, creating content is not as difficult as people say it is. I've said this a lot and I'll say it again. I'm not here to create content. I'm here to document the things that we're training on, document the things that I'm dealing with, document the things that we're actually doing. There's a computer right there with a whole bunch of memory, with access to a whole bunch of content, and we just do it one piece at a time. If you try to overthink it, you try to look too far ahead, you try to look at so much that might go into making it happen for you, you'll get stagnant by the complexity of it all. Start with today. Start with when you're watching this. Maybe this is January 2022. Start a January 2022 folder, put photos and videos into there that are unedited, put an edited folder in there so you see where your more curated content is, and then in February, start a new folder. It's that simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And I'll get back to you guys on whether or not these tags work. It's literally a conversation we just had to see if in Dropbox we can utilize tags on pieces of content for the specific theme, the tone, the type of information we're trying to deliver for different platforms. But ultimately, we are everywhere. We're on all platforms except Twitter. We decided not Twitter, not worth the investment of time, effort, and energy. But ultimately for you, start somewhere, create themes, right? For Mike's Monday Motivation and interviews, Ask Mike Anything for the podcast. For YouTube, we utilize different things from that perspective to organize it by time frame. We're gonna start trying to organize it by theme of content. So hopefully that brought you some value. Hopefully you can implement that into your content strategy immediately, because ultimately I want you to win fast and win often.